Wonderful to connect with you in this way. Thank you very much for joining Mumu and me in this balancing and vitalizing Slings in motion sequence. For today's movement practice, all you need is a mat and a massage prop of your choice, either a softish massage ball or a massage dome. Every now and then, Mumu and I will turn around to give you a different view. However, you can stay in the same position. Get started in a standing position with your legs about hip distance apart and parallel. Your pelvis centered on top of the legs, your spine elongated, and your head balancing on top of the spine with ease. Let your arms relax. Raise your arms forward and upward with an arm arc. Open your arms with an arm circle. Keep going. Now, here are 3 good reasons to practice this particular Slings in motion sequence regularly. The first one, it is wonderful for balancing or rebalancing the pelvis and therefore facilitating postural ease. It also creates movement freedom around the hips and the legs by strengthening and lengthening muscles, as well as promoting adaptability, fluid flow, and glide in the fascia around the hips. Last but not least, by working with deep hip flexor muscles, we are tapping into our innerness, into the depth of our lower back, into our organs, and all the way up to the diaphragm. So it's a wonderful sequence to support a healthy digestion and detoxification of the body. Let's do one more arm arc. And then let your arms fall and circle with a dynamic knee bend, elasticizing your lower body and your shoulders while lifting the energy up. Let's do one more arm circle and then slow down. Open your arms, keep your knees extended. Feel the lift from your midsection upward, engaging your pelvic floor and deep abdominals. And from this, with this extra lift in your body, you go into a nodding and you start to roll down very slowly, peeling your spine away from an imaginary wall. Keep the back of your pelvis against the wall for as long as possible. So as you're rolling down, you engage your pelvic floor and abdominal muscles more strongly, stronger at your lowest point with your fingertips above the floor. Your pelvic floor and abdominals are fully engaged. Your lower back is opening. Guide your inhalation into the back of the rib cage and the lower back. With your exhalation, bend your knees and fold forward. Let the breath flow. Relax your pelvic floor and abdominal muscles. Extend the legs as far as you feel comfortable. Leg stretch. Bend the knees. One more time, leg stretch. Extend as far as you feel comfortable. And with your next exhalation, you re-engage the pelvic floor and abdominal muscles to lift the pelvis. And then you let your back muscles take over to elongate your spine with ease until you are standing in an upright position with a sense of inner lift. Reach your arms up towards the ceiling, arm arc. Open your arms out to shoulder level. Reach up slightly, turn your palms forward, and now lift your sternum, small arch. Release. If you like, reach out further, lift up higher, and release. One more time. Arch and reach. Release.
Feel that length through the crown of the head again. And then go into a small nodding action. Start to gradually engage pelvic floor and abdominals more as you roll off this imaginary wall. Keeping the pelvis in an upright position as long as possible. Keeping that sense of the sacrum connecting to that imaginary wall. Let the breath flow as you roll down further until the fingertips are just off the floor, and you keep that strong lift through the pubic bone in front. By sense, the sit bones gently draw down towards the heels to assist the opening of your lower back. Now, as you breathe into the back of the rib cage and the lower back, feel how you can tension it from within through that expansive breath. Then with your next exhalation, bend the knees, bring the belly towards the thighs, let pelvic floor and abdominals fully relax. Let the breath flow. Lift the sit bones towards the ceiling into a leg stretch that suits you. And then bend the knees, lift onto the fingertips into an active forward fold. Place the hands onto the floor and walk your feet back into an inverted V. From the inverted V, lift the sit bones up towards the ceiling, bring your awareness to your pelvis, and then curl the pelvis under. Lift the pubic bone upwards as you roll forward through a big wave into a front support. Push the heels back, and then keep that centeredness of the pelvis. As you lower the knees down, relax the toes, and shift back into a child's pose.
From child's pose, keep reaching forward with your hands. Spread your fingers in a relaxed way. Re-engage pelvic floor and abdominals. Lift your upper body into a cat position. Center the pelvis and the spine. Establish a 4-point kneeling position with your shoulders above your hands and your hips above the knees. The pelvis and the spine are centered. Press your hands slightly apart. Reach forward from the crown of the head, back from the tailbone. And now lift your feet off the floor. With your next inhalation, lower them, press them onto the floor lightly. Exhalation, lift. Inhalation, lower and press lightly. Keep going in your own rhythm. Whenever you press the feet or the shins onto the floor, your deep abdominals engage. They engage on a reflex basis. So you strengthen your core, your midsection, in this seemingly simple yet so powerful exercise, creating stability from within and a sense of togetherness. The next time you lower your legs, you keep the legs relaxed on the floor. Let the breath flow. Bring your awareness to your pelvic floor. Engage. Draw inward and upward. Curl into a cat by engaging your abdominals. Now, I would like to change your view on the cat position. You strengthen your pelvic floor and your abdominals from the inside out, for sure. And you lengthen your back, though you also strengthen it. Push the hands forward, sit halfway back. Can you feel that opening in your lower back? What you perceive as a stretch is a fascial tensioning and strengthening. Right now, you strengthen your back. Very fascially. Center the pelvis and center the spine. Now you let your back muscles take over. So you also strengthen your back muscularly. Shift forward. Shoulders over hands. Lift your feet. Inhalation, press lightly. With your exhalation, you engage your pelvic floor and abdominals. You curl into a cat. While lengthening your back, you strengthen it. With your inhalation, you expand the back of the rib cage and the lower back, as you did in roll down. Exhalation, shift back. More opening, more strengthening. Center the pelvis, center the spine. Shift from fascia-focused strengthening to muscle-focused strengthening. Shift forward. Your abdominals come more strongly into the equation. Last one. Lift the feet. Lower, press lightly with your inhalation. Exhalation, curl into a cat. Feel your lower back opening. With your inhalation, feel the expansiveness of your back. With your exhalation, feel more opening in the lower back, the back of the pelvis. Let the breath flow and sit back into a child's pose.
And from the child's pose, you glide forward into a prone position onto your stomach. And then take the massage prop of your choice, place it into the crease of the hip, so below the hip bone. You could keep both legs extended, or like Karin, bend your right knee into a tree pose lying on your stomach. The pelvis is naturally turned off a little bit towards the left. So if your leg is extended, the right side will be more on the floor. Now let your leg or the tissue of the front of the hip melt over the massage prop for a moment. Tune into your shoulders, have them relaxed. And then bring your awareness to your pelvis. Engage through the pelvic floor, lengthen the tailbone a little bit away, feel the lengthening in your lower back, and maybe lift the pubic bone up towards the breastbone a little bit, engage through the lower abdominals to keep that centeredness in the pelvis and that length in your lower back. With your next exhalation, slide your left leg along the floor, open the front of the hip and lift the leg in an even manner to where you can keep the stability in the pelvis and the length in the lower back. On the inhalation, lower the leg again by sense the thigh bone comes a little bit back into the hip socket. As you exhale, reach the leg out of the hip socket. Feel the opening of the front of the hip and lifting the leg at the same time. On the inhalation, lowering the leg again. Feel how there's a softening through the front. Exhale, reach the leg away and lift. Keep that rhythm going. As you inhale and lower, you could have a sense of the thigh bone coming back into the hip socket and you feel the softening. As the leg reaches away, feel the strength of the hip extensors, lifting the leg in an even manner, and then you lower it back down. So that sense of opening the front of the hip, the leg is reaching out and away as you lift. And when you lower it, it can have a sense of coming back into the hip socket. With the exhalation, keep that reach again and lift. Start to tune in. Is your pelvis still centered? You lower once more. Are your shoulders relaxed and is your jaw relaxed? Next time the leg is lifted, keep it there. Bend the knee. Keep the height of the leg. You have a choice. You could lower your knee down in case you feel you're gripping too much. Knee on the floor or leg lifted. Extend your leg as you inhale. And then on the exhalation, bend the knee and point the foot up towards the ceiling. So as you are extending the leg and reach out through the toe, reach out of the hip, the thigh bone again. And as you bend the knee, maybe you need to lift the pubic bone up a little bit more so you keep that centeredness. Keep going, extending the leg and bending the knee. Having that sense that you can keep the height of the leg as you extend and bend if the knee is lifted. So really feel that empowering of your hip extensors. And as you bend the knee, how the hip flexors are lengthening more, or at least the ones crossing the knee. Go once more, extending the leg and then bending it. Go 2 more times. Feel that reaching out of the leg. Tune into your shoulders once more. I definitely need to. Do they stay relaxed as I keep extending and bending the knee? Next time the knee is bent, keep it there. If your leg is on the floor, lift the leg up again. The foot is pointing up towards the ceiling. And now let's go into rhythmical pulses. So you lift and lower the leg in a more rhythmical manner. And then keep the leg lifted. Lower the knee all the way down onto the floor. Soften over the prop for a moment. Maybe tune in again. Can the shoulders relax more? And let your leg fall from side to side. So let your foot swing from side to side in a rhythmical manner. It's like a windscreen motion. So you are mobilizing the hip joint. You are softening the tissue that was very much under lengthening, under tension and being lengthened. And you give the hip extensors some release. And then center the leg. Lower the leg all the way down. Soften over the prop for a moment. Re-engage or tune into your center. Maybe you need to re-engage. Reach through the leg away. Lift the leg again. And then bend the knee. So now active pendulum, rotating the thigh bone out, the knee moves away from the midline of the body, and let the breath flow, rotate the leg inwards. Bring the knee close to the midline of the body or pointing towards your right knee. Spiral the leg out once more, feel that big generous movement in the hip socket as you spiral the leg inwards now. And then spiral it back out. Keep it rotated out. If you wish, you can place the knee back onto the floor or you keep the height of the leg. And from here, you extend the leg again. So we are strengthening here more the gluteal muscles. Gluteus maximus is in focus as well. Extend the leg and bend the knee. So you extend as you breathe in. On the exhalation, bending again. So sensing, can you feel that strength and support of these gluteal muscles? Extend the leg again and then bend. Keep it bent. Rotate the leg inwards. Lift the leg, sorry if it was on the floor, and then extend the leg. So all of us extend the leg and we keep the leg lifted. So we go into leg lifts with an inward rotation. Lower the leg, exhale, lifting the leg, a sense of rotating the leg up. Inhale, you lower. On the exhalation, that reaching away and lifting. Inhale and lower. Keep going. So as you're lifting and lowering the leg, keep the sense of spiraling the inside seam of your leggings up towards the ceiling or of your pants. So a sense of strengthening those inside thigh muscles, one particular one that supports the pelvis in an upright position or on top of the thigh bone. Lower the leg. Keep the leg lifted, bend the knee again, center the leg, and then lower the knee down. Soften over the ball, extending the leg, and just softening over the ball or the massage dome for a moment. Then remove the prop.
Hang on.
Oh, bend the knee. The best part is yet to come.
I'm in need of a semicircle.
Bending the knee. Thank God Karin remembered. So you circle the leg.
It wasn't me, Mumu. It was my body.
So you let the leg swing. You want to have a sense of ease. Imagine your hip socket is filled with your most favorite oil, and you let that thigh bone swivel through the hip socket. At the same time, there is a hydration and a nourishing happening in the front. And this is just fantastic to have more freedom of movement in your hip joint. And then center the leg. Lower the leg all the way down. Now soften over the prop. Almost forgot the best part. And then you take the ball away. And for a moment, you just tune in. How does that side feel? Bring the hands close to the ribs. The elbows are pointing backwards. Lift the head just off. And then push hands and knees into the floor, pushing up. Bring the knees underneath you, coming into a 4-point kneeling position again. Keeping that centeredness in the pelvis, the length out of the tailbone, reach through the crown of the head. As you exhale, going into a cat, initiate it from the pelvis, let it run through your upper back and let the head relax. Direct the breath into the back of the rib cage. As you exhale and sit further back into the angry cat, how does your lower back feel? How does it open as you breathe in? How does the front of the hip feel? As you center the pelvis and let your back muscles take over, maybe the crease of the hip feels different where you massaged to the other side, and you shift over hands and knees again. Once more, curl the pelvis under, engage through pelvic floor and abdominals, curling into the cat. Let the head relax. An expansive breath into the back of the rib cage. As you exhale, sit back into that angry cat. Lift the pubic bone up into in the front and breathe into it. And then sit back into a child's pose.
Glide forward again into a prone position. And place the massage prop beneath the right hip. If your left knee, or before it was the right knee, was bent out to the side, bend the left knee into a tree pose. And once again, establish a stable pelvic position in which the lower back is elongated. Tune into your shoulders, there is ease. Your arms are relaxed. Bring your awareness to the right leg. Slide the right leg along the floor, lift it up. With your inhalation, you lower it down as far as you like. With your exhalation, you reach back and lift up. And with your inhalation, you lower. Keep going in your own rhythm. It feels like a semicircular movement in which you create space in your hip joint when you strengthen your hip extensor muscles, and you create connectedness in your hip joint when you inhale and you lower the leg. So it's a profoundly working exercise. Now, while you do the leg movement, you feel that deep strength in your pelvic floor and abdominals that keep your lower back elongated and supported. Keep your leg lifted the next time that it is. Reach back, bend the knee. And then if you have lowered the leg previously, do so again in this sequence. Otherwise, stay with Mumu. Extend the leg with your inhalation. Exhalation, leg curl in your own rhythm again. Now there is so much benefit to keeping the leg lifted in terms of strength in your hip extensors. However, there is just as much benefit in lowering the leg. So when the leg is lowered, there is more softness, fascially speaking, in front of the hip. And you can let the massage prop melt in deeply, literally stimulate, bring fluid flow to the depth of your hip joint. So it's absolutely wonderful. And it still has a strengthening effect for your hip extensors as well as your pelvic floor and abdominals. So, if your knee is on the floor like mine is, just enjoy one more leg curl with that sense of depth and softness in the front of the hip. Everyone, keep the knee bent. If your knee is on the floor, lift it back up. And then we're going here, clearly strengthening exercise, small pulsating leg lifts. Very much the hip extensors in focus, gluteus maximus in focus, active lengthening of the hip flexor muscles and their fascia in the front. Lower the knee down onto the floor and bring ease into the muscles around the pelvis. That means you let go of your pelvic floor and abdominals as much as feels safe and comfortable in your back. Your bottom completely relaxed, windscreen wiper. You let the lower leg fall from side to side. Envision a little bit of an old windscreen wiper that more swishes the water around. So that's actually a nice image for the inside. We want to create fluid flow, fluid distribution within the fascial structures around the hip joint, within the hip joint itself. So nourishing the fascia around the hips and promoting glide through fluid flow. The more relaxed you are, the better. And then let the windscreen wiper come to a hold. It's sunny again. Extend the leg, re-engage to your center. Find that strength in your midsection. Reach back, lift the leg up, bend the knee. And it's a slow pendulum. You turn the leg out. And then you turn the leg in. It's pointing to the left. Turn it out again, strengthening your wide collection of hip extensors. Turn the leg in, lengthening your wide collection of hip flexors. Turn out one more time. So either the knee is lifted, emphasis on strength in the hip extensors, length in the hip flexors, or you lower the leg down and you let the prop melt in. Extend the knee, bend the leg in your own rhythm again. I absolutely love this movement part here. It is such a wonderful exercise to create strength, but also that deep ease and release and fluid flow. Maybe you can feel the prop almost melt into the inside of your pelvis. Here we are touching deep hip flexor muscles that connect us to the back, the diaphragm, and the inner organs. The next time your knee is bent, you can keep it bent. If the knee is on the floor, lift it up. Turn the leg to the opposite side so the knee is pointing to the left. Extend the leg, reach out with the toes, and then lower and lift the leg. Engaging, strengthening your adductors, inner thighs. So again, in your own rhythm, you lift and lower the leg. And you actively lengthen the outside of the hip. And you stimulate. And you create, not at this very moment, but in combination with the relaxation, fluid flow. Brings more ease into and around the hip. Let's do 2 more leg lifts. I like the reaching up from the heel. So when you lift up one more time, can you lift up from the heel? And then you can keep the leg lifted at whatever height you like. Bend the knee. Turn the knee back so your leg is in alignment with the rest of your body. Relax the knee on the floor. Melt over the prop. Let it sink deep. And then we go into the semicircle. By sense, you let the lower leg gain momentum. And with minimal muscular effort, you're not only mobilizing the joint, but once again, you promote fluid flow. And with fluid flow, we have more glide and more vitality, quite literally, a better recovery in the body, so also around the hips. Let the movement steady. And then extend the leg back, rest it on the floor completely. One more moment of melting. And then you can remove the prop from beneath your hip. If your left knee was bent out to the side, extend it back. Either lie still or let the pelvis sway from side to side. Noticing how the front of your pelvis feels, how the lower back feels. I like the swaying. It's almost like I can sway my bones into their fascial envelopes. It's actually very lovely because the outer fascia is now so soft. Steady the pelvis if you have been moving. Place your hands onto the floor on either side of the rib cage, elbows bent back. Lift your forehead slightly. Find strength in your center. Push up. Kneeling front support. Move the knees and the hands closer together into a 4-point kneeling position. And then lift up from the pubic bone, opening the front of the hips, opening the lower back. How does it feel now? Let the breath flow. Sit halfway back. Enjoy that further opening of the back. And then center the pelvis, center the spine. Enjoy the strength around your spine when you're back in this centered position. Shift the shoulders over the hands. Centered, lift your feet off the floor. Press down lightly. Stability in your midsection. Lift the feet. Press down one more time and create and enjoy the feeling of inner togetherness. Lift the feet. Curl the toes under. Shift halfway back. Lift your knees off the floor, extend the legs, inverted V, downward facing dog. Walk your feet forward to your hands and then fold easily with your knees slightly bent. Extend the legs, lift the sit bones up towards the ceiling. And then engage the pelvic floor from deep within. Lift the pubic bone up. Let the sit bones gently draw down to the heels. Feel the pelvis center on top of the thigh bones. Maybe there's a different sense of balance. And then roll up vertebra by vertebra. Let the shoulders arrive restfully on an expansive rib cage. And then from here, bring your arms overhead. Lower the arms to shoulder height again. And then turn the palms forward as you breathe in into an arch. Exhale, you come back. Take the arms further up into a more expansive arch if that suits. And center. Inhale, reaching out. And then center, lower the arms all the way down. Bring your arms overhead once more. Let the arms swing with you. Let the knees bounce with buoyancy or bend with buoyancy. Have a sense of centeredness in the pelvis and the lower back. And you might feel a different sense of ease and freedom. Once more, stay here. Lower the arms all the way down. And Karin and I hope that you feel a different fluid flow and easefulness in your hip joint. And when you go for a walk afterwards, maybe you feel it even more. Thank you for joining us.